Hello everyone, hope you're all having a good day. This is part 2 of my Simple Solutions set of videos that I just wanted to cover for the daily products that I use. Today's episode will be on the MX Master 2S, which I've been using for just under 3 years. I've had an exceptional experience with it, and I just wanted to share with you some of the benefits of having a mouse that's a bit on the pricey point, but will see very little reason to be replaced anytime soon. So just on how I've been using it, it's been used basically daily. Anytime that I'm away from home and I need a mouse to go with my laptop, I always just throw it in my bag. I've never had any real hassles with it. It's never broken down on me or anything like that. No parts have needed to be replaced. Things I love about it is just how responsive it is. It's quite light for its size, and so it's very portable. It's more of something that is like a set and forget sort of mentality. You just plug and play, and you're able to use it wherever you go. So definitely one of the things that I love to keep in my bag. So this is the mouse here. I picked this one up for, you can see on the box listed price was 149 Australian dollars, which comes to around 120 US, I believe. And so some of the really outstanding features about this is that it seems to hold an endless amount of charge, and I do not kid you when I say that. It charges extremely quickly if the battery does die, but as listed on the box, it also does say that it's able to hold up to 70 days of charge. Whether that's true or not, I haven't really been keeping count, but it certainly seems like I haven't had to charge this mouse for very many times at all since I've owned it, which is just an absolute joy. So it does actually make up for one of the flaws in that it does not have a USB Type-C connection. Despite that, it still is able to hold its charge and is still able to charge very quickly. The other thing you'll notice is that due to its shape, actually, it's quite large and actually very ergonomic for the hand. And what I've found, and indeed in other reviews have mentioned, that for people with larger hands, it is especially comfortable and especially ergonomic. In terms of the material, you'll have a two material type design where the main grip of the mouse will be a texturized, rubberized surface, and it aids with the grip. So you'll never feel like it's slipping out of your hand. And the slipperier parts are, of course, just the plastic components, which are the mouse buttons themselves, as well as the overarching body of the mouse. Like I mentioned before, it's extremely responsive. This is due in part for two reasons. One is that the connection with the USB dongle that comes with this mouse is extremely quick and extremely reliable. I've never had to download any drivers when I just want to plug this into a new machine. For example, at a company computer or a uni laptop, I'm able to just plug the dongle straight into the device and it'll work seamlessly right from the get-go, which is amazing. That is one of my favorite features about this mouse. The other thing is the feel in the hand. Like I mentioned, you have this grippier, rubberized texture on the mouse itself, but it's not obnoxious where it just grips onto dust and things that you don't want to be stuck on there. It just feels like it belongs in the hand, which is absolutely the feeling that you need to have if you're using a productivity mouse like this on a daily basis for hours at a time. The last thing you really want to be worrying about is the mouse. Another thing on the build quality is actually the mouse pads themselves on the bottom, which rub against the surface, obviously, that the mouse will be running on. These are actually the original pads that I've had on the mouse since I've bought it. I've not had to replace them at all, and if you're able to see up close, they have this shinier finish on them because of all the rubbing, but it certainly is far from wearing away and certainly not peeling off. I've had this peeling off problem with some of the other mouses I've used in the past, particularly from Razer, where the grips on the side and the feet on the bottom will start to slip. The adhesive will actually slip from the bottom of the mouse itself. You'll actually find that there's minimized surface area where the pads are actually contacting with the table because of this interesting design here that you'll be able to see there in the cross section. In addition to that, the surface tracking is amazing. I used it extensively on glass with no mousepad whatsoever, and it still was able to track seamlessly. I never had a problem with it. In fact, I was worried about its reliability, so I did bring a mousepad in just in case, but I was pleasantly surprised that I didn't actually need to use it. So some of the cons now with this mouse is in fact that it needs a dongle at all. So it's not a Bluetooth mouse entirely, where the dongle is situated inside the mouse and you can connect directly with Bluetooth. It does need the dongle for connectivity. The second thing is that the dongle actually doesn't have a housing within the mouse itself, unlike a lot of other Logitech mice that I've encountered in the past, where they'll have a little compartment that you can open up and just slot the dongle in for storage when you're traveling. This isn't so much of a problem if you don't switch your devices often. I personally don't, but in the cases where I have needed to alternate between my personal and my work laptop, having the dongle there does mean that you'll just have to find a safe place to keep it while in transit, because you won't be able to store it in the mouse itself. The other con is the price. 150 Australian dollars for a mouse, particularly for a laptop mouse, so you could use it for a desktop, is quite steep, especially if it's not really built for anything else but productivity. It doesn't have many macro buttons that you could use for any extreme macro-oriented tasks. So a $150 price point is quite steep. However, in my opinion, the fact that I never really have to consider buying another mouse for my portable use is in and of itself a reason to mitigate this con. Like I mentioned before, actually one of the cons is that it doesn't have a USB Type-C charging port, nor does it have a removable battery, right? So in most portable mice, you'll be able to find there's a compartment that you can take out the portable battery in case it goes faulty, or in case it runs out of battery and you can hot swap a new one in. I haven't found those to be major cons, simply as I explained, that it's able to hold its juice very well and able to be charged super quickly. So just lastly, some differentiating factors about this Logitech MX Master 2S that separates it from a lot of the competition and a lot of the mice that I've used in the past is you'll be able to see it just here. With the main scroll wheel, there are two settings. If I switch the mouse on at the switch on the bottom, you'll be able to switch between a clicky and a smooth scroll setting. Personally, this has been useful for scrolling to end of pages more than anything, and if you just want a continuous scroll rather than discrete clicks. It's entirely up to preference, and indeed for accuracy-based applications, the discrete click is definitely a very helpful addition. The other thing is its design. For something that's quite large and quite ergonomic for larger hands, it's relatively sleek. The color scheme is very subtle and is not abrasive and shouldn't take away from any of the appearances of your setup, which I really like. The other thing actually, on the the left-hand side is the side-scrolling option. This basically functions as a side-to-side scroller, and you can operate it very easily with your thumb, which is quite unique. Right beside it are the left and right directional navigational buttons, which you can use to jump backwards and forwards. For example, in a Chrome window, you're able to go backwards a web page or forwards in a web page simply by clicking those. You're also able to reprogram these buttons in the Logitech suite to whatever you wish. You can actually program them to be macros if you like. The other thing on the bottom is the profiles. You're able to quickly switch between 3 different mouse profiles, which will adjust the macro settings as well as the sensitivity of the mouse, and you're able to just switch and store them on the spot without having external software. I personally haven't had much use for this because my range of use for this mouse is really just the day-to-day productivity work. But if my workflow were to incorporate other activities such as gaming or higher intensity activities which require macros, then I could absolutely see myself using this profile option. The last thing that comes with it is this thing that's called the Logitech Flow, which is a system with this mouse that lets you control up to 3 computers using the same mouse and drag and drop files in between them. Since I don't use this mouse cross device, I've never had to use this option, but it is certainly there. Lastly, the elephant in the room, actually, I should talk about in terms of cons, is that this mouse is inherently designed for right-handed people. So if you're looking for an ambidextrous mouse or if you're a lefty, unfortunately you will have quite a difficult time making good use of this mouse. So there it is. That's basically my 3-year review of using the MX Master 2S from Logitech. I can't stress enough how much of a savior this mouse has been in terms of productivity and indeed reducing the need for me to go out and look for a new mouse as a replacement. So thank you all for watching. Hope that's been relatively helpful, and I'll see you next week for the next one.